Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Today, I'm with Lynn Whitbeck. She is the queen of joyful sales. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire Lynn to ignite winning sales because most fail to connect, capture, and close their ideal clients. Lynn is the founder and CEO of Petite to Queen and host of Claim Your Career Crown and the Get More Clients show, streaming on Amazon Fire, Roku, Apple TV. She loves visiting national parks, cooking, and playing Pokemon Go. Welcome, Lynn. It's great to be with you.
Chuck, I'm so glad to be with you again. We have such fun together.
Yeah, we had a great time last time talking about making sales joyful, which, is kind of infectious. It was an easy, joyful time to be together. So if people haven't listened to that podcast, scroll backwards and find Lynn on Making Sales Joyful. Today, we're going to talk about people not following up well, or as we said before we started, maybe not even following up at all. Gee whiz, this is what sales is all about, isn't it? We're going to make sure we stay with somebody until we get it to the close, but it doesn't happen that way too often, does it?
No, and in fact, follow-up is such a crucial part. I want everybody to recognize a very important stat, which is that 80% of the sales are made by the 20% of the salespeople who follow up. Salespeople, business owners, entrepreneurs, all of you out there, when you don't follow up, you're giving that business to your competitor.
Yeah, we could stop right there. We could be done, a 1.5 minute podcast, because really that should just motivate all of us to do this, because it's really true. I've heard the same thing. It's the old 80-20 rule. Why is Joe down the street getting all these clients? Because he talked to people. He kept talking to the people that I stopped talking to. That is a huge part of this.
Yeah.
Really,
absolutely.
I owned a couple of marketing companies, and one of the things I learned about marketing is that it's about relationships. Good marketing is about relationships. Bad marketing is about selling people stuff, right? But good marketing, it's about building relationships, and relationships have two hallmarks: recency and frequency. How recently did you talk to me, and how frequently? And it's both and. If you talk to me recently, but you've never talked to me before, there's no relationship. That's recent, but it's not frequent. And if you talk to me a lot and then all of a sudden you stop talking to me, well, the relationship's going to fade. So we need to stay with people. We need to follow up. And we do either recently and then fall off the face of the earth, or recently is like walking into a bar and meeting a woman and saying, "Hey, what's your name?" "My name's Sally." "Well, Sally, will you marry me?" There's not enough frequency. It doesn't work. You can't just stab people with your business card and expect to actually get away with it. So talk us through a little bit of what you see as core issues with why we don't follow up, because there's got to be some head trash around that.
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, people don't know what to say, so that happens. People will put up all kinds of different excuses like, well, I didn't follow up in a timely manner. Yeah. Last time I checked, your clients aren't keeping score. They're not literally running an Excel sheet to see the last time you checked in on them. So, let that go right now.
They're busy. Important?
Yeah, they're busy. Okay. Because I'll get that. Well, should I apologize that I literally had this conversation with someone the other day, and she was on a cruise in January and she hasn't followed up with anyone on that list. And I said, they've been busy. Have you been busy? And I said, it's time to reach out. You will need to remind them where you met, but have a plan. Deliver value. What's the purpose? Why are you following up? And deliver value and get it on a plan and a cadence. Now, this isn't just dropping somebody into some kind of drip campaign. Right. That's not to say that you can't have an automated campaign that is delivering value, but make sure that it's that, why does it matter to them? So you're delivering that value. The other thing is, if people do follow up, they do something that sounds like this, Chuck. "Oh, hi, Chuck. This is Lynn. I'm calling to follow up. I know we talked, it's been a while, but I wanted to see if you had made a decision on that sales consulting. This is Lynn. 206-498-51222. Lynn at And you're going, what the? And that's what you got. How many times have we seen those emails? Moving this to the top of your inbox.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay, so what I want everybody to do here is, first of all, you got to go back and think about your ideal clients. What do they want, need, or lack? Why does it matter to them? So they can what? So they can what? What's the dream? What's the goal? What's the initiative? What's the aspiration that they truly ardently desire? Now, what assets do you already have? Like, I'm just doing this podcast with Chuck right now. This becomes an asset. So what do you have that you can point them to? Because follow-up, believe me, is a very common problem in sales. And so, hey, go listen to this episode. It's going to give you some tips on how to follow up. You've all got that. You can do a Facebook Live. You can point them to that. You can point them to shows that you're on. You can a blog post, anything. It's out there. You've got assets. Now, wind that in. Why does it matter that they listen to that, watch that, do that? I mean, heck, if it's a video, I always remind people that they can watch it at 1.2 speed. So it'll take even less time, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can now deliver value. And here's the kicker. I go with a 13-step cadence. So there's multiple pieces in that. It's not just phoning them. Please, though, do pick up the phone and call people. Plan to get voicemail. Then I immediately send them an email with the piece of value that I told them about. Make sure that that call, you lead with the value, not with who you are. Chuck, there's a fantastic new follow-up strategy that is going to have 3 steps for you to be able to close more clients. Listen, I'm going to drop that in an email for you. So watch for that. It's going to be in your inbox in just a moment. This is Lynn Whitbeck with Petite to Queen, right? And so I slow my cadence down. Now you're going to go, well, that follow-up, I need to find out what that is. And you're going to look in your inbox, and there it is. There's that email right there. That's called a dynamic duo. If you wait 3 business days later, depending on the cadence of your follow-up, real estate going to be a lot faster. Then you send a text message. And if you can, use the voice part. Leave a voice message on a text. Leave a voice message on your app in LinkedIn, because nobody does that, and it stands out. You're one of 1,000, literally one of 1,000. And people will listen, and it's the exact same message. I sent that to you in your email. Did you have a chance to take a look? And this is going to help you because, and then, by the way, this is Lynn, right? So when you lead with that value, it makes sense to them. And I use this in the good old, bad old corporate days, closed multi-million-dollar deals. I would have people ghost me. And then one of my Hail Marys was to set up a lunch meeting. They would accept. I would have to fly in to see them. I closed sales because of that. I stayed with that. And I had a 13th step, which was the true Hail Mary. But you did that. You have whatever that cadence makes sense to you and your business. And what are things that you can do? You can send them a snail mail package, handwrite a note, handwrite a note, not some kind of computer generated thing. You actually take a pen and paper and hand address it. Once again, it stands out when it shows up on their desk. Send them a fax. If you are working B2B, most businesses have a fax machine in that building, and they're going to run through the building going, look, I got a fax. Nobody gets them anymore, right? So there's lots of ways that you can continue to follow up, and you're building your credibility. You're building why it matters. You're staying front of mind, and they're going to pick up the phone one day and say, heck yes, I've been meaning to call you back. In fact, that one I told you about, huge national grocery chain, he never responded other than to accept the invitation. I flew in, showed up going, wonder if he's going to come down the stairs. He trotted on down the stairs. We ended up having a 3-hour lunch. And he told me every one of those follow-ups he kept would go to reach for the phone or go to reply, and a new bomb would go off on his desk. But that's the thing. I built that relationship brick by brick because I was following up. I was demonstrating what it was going to be like to work with me.
Yeah, there's so much in what you just said that you certainly demonstrated recency and frequency. You also demonstrated that we should give a variety of ways of connecting with people. Use the phone, use text, use the phone on text, send them the different resources. I mean, I've done things like figured out what kind of blog or what kind of podcast someone might want to listen to that had nothing to do with what I'm doing. And then I would text them and say, hey, you talked about this kind of stuff last time. on pottery or whatever. Here's a pottery podcast. Whatever we can do to connect without trying to pitch and sell, it's so much more valuable. And it means so much to people that you did that in multiple ways. And then you stayed after it, because time kills deals, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that because you have that frequency and you're staying on point and on target, people, things change. Something suddenly changes in their business and they go, I really need to get this going, because Lynn, Chuck, they've been reaching out to me on a regular basis. They're top of mind. And who do they call? Sort of like Ghostbusters. Who do you call? So they call us because of that follow-up. And there's, so many, once you build out your templates, your master templates with your sales strategy, this is having a plan. You can say, well, this person, and you identify what are like the top 3 either pain points of area concern or things that matter to your clients. Then, and when you have that initial conversation, because follow-up happens after you've had a conversation and you've met with someone, either virtually or in person, potentially even at an event could be considered follow-up. But now you've got those things that you can really focus in on, that matter to someone. And if you've been wearing your detective hat, you found out a little bit about themselves. Like, hey, I remember you said your daughter was about to graduate with her master's. How's that going? Are you going down for the ceremony? Would love to hear, So make it friendly, personal, right? And so you can add those in as a PS, because you're building the relationship. They matter to you. They are not a number.
There's so much in that. And I'll give you my own success story with what you're saying, because you've probably got dozens of these. But for 18 months, I just had a little bit of a plan to connect with this guy at Microsoft. He had moved from Novell to Microsoft. He was a low-level supervisor that nobody paid attention to. And I would send him an email once a month. Hi, how you doing? Here's something interesting about fill in the blank. I'm not trying to say anything. 2 weeks later, I'd send him a press release. And it was a real press release. We put it together and sent it out to all the news agencies, but I was actually doing it for him. And I'd come up with something that would be a press release, because people like to open press releases and say, oh, I'm getting the news before it hits the news. And then once a quarter for 18 months, I flew from Denver to Seattle. And before I left, I said, hey, I'm up there meeting with potential clients, and wondered if we could get lunch and I'll work my schedule around you. He was the only one I was meeting with, but I didn't want to put that pressure on him. And I did that for 18 months. And one day I got a call. He said, hey, I'm glad I got your press release yesterday, because I'd forgotten you guys do X. We've got a project. And it was a multi-million-dollar project that more than doubled the size of our company. And all I did was just have this simple little system that I worked for 18 months. And we don't do that. We give up, don't we? Why do we give up?
And that's the top of mind. Well, people give up because they take it personally. This isn't personal, it's business, right?
Yeah.
And I want everyone to think about it. You're busy. I'm busy. Chuck, you're busy, right? Well, that's the thing. It's not that they're ignoring you, or they don't like you, or they don't want to work with you, or the answer's no forever. Don't ever call me. It's they're busy is the number one reason that people are not responding. And so when you are joyfully showing up and delivering value that matters to them, you are moving the needle. You are moving that needle brick by brick. And that's exactly what happened in Chuck's story. 18 months, literally a project handed to you on a silver platter. But it was because of the 18 months of work. And that's a common story in B2B, but it's the same story is true in working with whatever type of business you have. And some businesses, it takes 6 months, 12 months, but that 18 months, that still becomes a really great client.
Yeah, and Lynn, I think it was something I had to learn, that people aren't trying to avoid me. My assumption was always they're avoiding me. They don't want to work with me. I'm bugging them. It was always me interpreting for them things they had never said. And
me.
Yeah, and exactly. And we really got to get over that and say, I'm going to assume this person is an adult. They are not passive aggressive. And so they're going to want to work with me until they say no. I had to learn, and I think I'm still learning that, because it's so easy to go to the worst case scenario of why someone doesn't call you back. Well, they don't like it. No, more often than not, it simply is just that. Yeah, they're really busy, and you really aren't in the center of their lives. Don't worry about it. Just keep calling. But I did learn, as a result of that fear, I did learn that I always give the potential customer an out. Hey, I don't want to bug you, but I'm just, I want to follow up because that's part of what I do. I want to make sure that you see that I am faithful to following up. But, please let me know if you've gone a different direction. So we give them that out. So we're not bugging them, but we are following up because people are busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when someone says no, usually it's no for now.
Uh-huh.
It's not no forever. Very rarely is it no forever. There are times when it's just truly not a fit, right? Okay. And it is truly a no for forever. But most no's are soft no's.
Yeah.
And they really are no for now. And so I encounter this a lot. It's like, well, I've got a friend who's going to help me with this. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Or, well, I found somebody who I can work with who's not going to charge me as much. And I stay in touch. I continue to check in with them. And lo and behold, 3 months, 6 months later, they come back and it's like, that didn't really work out and I need help. Would it be okay if can I work with you now? And they're always like tail between their legs. And it's like, of course.
Well,
Sometimes you have to think the grass is greener or the cheaper solution is
uh-huh.
better, right?
Yeah.
And or that friend that you have is gonna work miracles. It's like, I'm looking for the unicorn. I'm looking for that magic wand that's gonna give me instant success. And it's like, good luck with that.
Well, I think one of the things you're talking to is one of the mistakes I learned early on. Somebody told me, it was a sales course where they said, if people say no, get them out of your database. They're dead weight. It's like cleaning your attic. You just get all those things out of there that don't belong there and you just feel better. And I realized it took me years to figure out, that doesn't sound right. And sure enough, it wasn't. For that reason, I've had people 2 years later, once I said no, and I just kept in touch, just lightly kept in touch in ways that they would want to hear from me rather than trying to sell them. And 2 years later, hey, I'm glad you called. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And having those common touch points for anyone who's not actively working their email database, you should be, because it's got like a 24% engagement rate versus social at 3. Where do you want to spend your time and energy? Let me just ask you that. And if you make that email communication regular, then it's the people are used to it. It's coming into their box. They know it's coming from you. You also tell people what to expect when they sign up. And having that whole thing, it's, it really does help with, in addition to once someone says no, then I always put them on for a follow-up. And it's usually I'm following up with something that matters to them, staying in touch. I'd love to hear how this went, how things going. I'm not asking them about working with me.
Right.
That's not there. There's no pressure. It's just human to human.
Yeah.
And what happens with that is that people, go like, well, maybe we should talk again. Things haven't really been going that well. And, you give them the opportunity to raise their hand. But I also give people the opportunity to, as I call it, self-call. If they want to leave the community, the orbit, they can do that. And that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm bad or I'm mean or I'm horrible or they don't like me. It just means that it's not for them. And that's okay.
That's okay. And you shouldn't try and be all things to everybody, because then you'll be a chameleon and you won't know yourself or them.
Yeah.
None of that works out. So I'm a big fan that process is more important than tool, but sometimes the tools are really helpful in the process. Do you have any particular follow-up tools? They may not be software, maybe just an idea or a discipline or are there tools that you would recommend to people to help them with follow-up? One you've obviously said is something like put it on your calendar to follow up or something like that. So that's a tool, but what other tools would you recommend?
I recommend that you do what I talked about early on. Do an asset audit. What do you already have? How does it answer what matters to your clients? How does it deliver value? Define that. What matters to them, not what matters to you, what matters to them. Why? And then you can create those templates, text, email, honestly, creating a little voice script. Please don't read the script. But I mean, I did that with you completely ad lib just now, right? A few minutes ago. But the point is smile when you leave them the voicemail, okay? People can hear it in your voice. So my technique that I want to share is called the triumphant triangle. And that's what I told you. You pick up the phone, you leave a voicemail. I mean, you expect to get voicemail, but you're ready if they're ready to talk. What's the purpose? Why are you calling? And you lead with the value, why it matters to them, and then how can they get it? You're going to leave it, you're going to send them an email. And you might even say with this subject line. And the email should also be very quick and skimmable. It should not be a page long, people. The voicemail should be 30 to 60 seconds long. People have the attention span of an amoeba. They're busy. Okay, lead with the value, get off, hang up. Then the email's all ready to go. You hit send, and it has the value in that. And then 3 business days later, for a normal business cadence, you're going to send them a text or send them a message on LinkedIn. And in both cases, you can leave it as a voice message again, because it's unique and it stands out. Now, some people are not on LinkedIn very often, so it's just, they may not hear it for 6 months. That's okay, right? But if you don't do that third step, then it's the dynamic duo. If you have a business like real estate that's got a much faster cadence, you may be wanting to do that afternoon, like if you're looking to list someone's home. But that's what you want to do. And that technique is very effective.
Well, we've certainly covered some ground here, and we just scratched the surface. Follow-up is so important. To your point that we started with the 80-20 rule, and it shows itself. People who follow up get clients. People who don't go back to the beginning and start over. And I understand why. I'm sitting here feeling it in my bones that if I got somebody on the 5-yard line, it's hard to push across to get a touchdown. I think I'll just go back and start on the 10-yard line on the other end, because I make more progress fast. It feels like something good is happening. I've left a lot of people on the 5-yard line because I haven't followed up. And that's where the learning is. And that's where the gold is. And that's where the service is to them. You're going to actually leave this person on the 5-yard line and not serve them, and get them to a yes or a no gently to whatever serves them, but keep moving. And my message to myself and my listeners is, don't take it personally. And don't assume that they don't like you. Assume they are busy, because that's 90+% of it. And if they don't like you and they don't say so, that's their problem. Don't own it. Lynn, this is delightful. How can people get a hold of you to find out more about how to follow up?
Well, I would love to invite everyone to download my Get More Clients checklist. You can get that at petite, the digit 2, queen.com/checklist. It's going to help you locate or identify gaps that you could have in your sales, areas of refinement or improvement, or things that you're doing really great. But it's going to help you with that whole sales process and the journey and experience that you're giving your clients.
Brilliant. Lynn, this has been fun. Let's go get some more clients. Let's do it for their benefit, not for ours.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chuck. Thrilled to be here with you.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.